Natural advanced English is not a contest to use the longest words. It is the ability to express a careful idea without sounding stiff. Today, practice helps you add nuance, explain limits, compare possibilities, and sound thoughtful in real conversations. Listen to each sentence once, pause, and say it with a calm, intelligent rhythm. Pay attention to how the language softens an opinion or adds precision. Keep the meaning clear before you worry about style. The strongest speakers are not always the most complicated. They are often the easiest to understand. Now we will practice advanced ideas in natural English. What I mean is, say it again with a calm rhythm. The way I see it is. I would not say that exactly. It is not a big deal, but that is not what I expected. Now let us practice these sentences in a more natural flow. Sentence 1. Now repeat it like you are speaking to a real person. Sentence 2. Sentence 3. Sentence 4. Sentence 5. This is a good moment to remember something important. Speaking confidence grows when you practice real sentences out loud. If you want more real conversation practice after this video, Saloo English helps learners practice everyday English, respond naturally, and stop freezing when it is time to speak. You can find the Saloo English link in the description. Now come back to the practice with me. Someone asks me a question, and I need a second to answer. This sentence helps me stay present. I understand the idea, but I want to answer more clearly. I feel nervous, but I can still use one simple sentence. I can restart if the first sentence does not sound right. I can keep the conversation moving with calm English. Now we will practice a short speaking flow. Listen first, then repeat each line. I used to wait for perfect English before speaking. Now I start with one useful sentence. If I need time, I use a calm phrase. If I make a mistake, I say it another way. I keep speaking because communication is the goal. Good, your voice is learning the path. Now let us practice with more confidence. My English can be simple and still be useful. My voice can stay calm while I think. I can answer slowly and still sound clear. I can use one strong phrase when I feel blocked. I can build fluency through repetition. I can trust myself more each time I practice. Before we finish, let us do one final round. These sentences are for your confidence. I am training my ears, my mouth, and my confidence. I can repeat useful English until it feels natural. I can speak before I feel completely ready. I can stay calm in real conversations. I can improve one sentence at a time. Now we will add one more shadowing round for fluency. Listen first, then repeat each sentence out loud. I can repeat the sentence with a calm voice. I can feel the rhythm before I answer. I can let the words become familiar. I can practice slowly and still improve. I can listen first, then speak with more control. I can copy the stress and the natural pause. I can make my English clearer one phrase at a time. I can use this sentence in a real conversation. I can keep my voice steady when I feel pressure. I can trust repetition to make speaking easier. I can answer with simple English and still sound natural. I can breathe before I speak. I can continue even if one word is not perfect. I can repeat this practice and feel more confident. I can turn listening practice into speaking practice. Excellent work today. Shadowing is powerful because it turns English from something you only understand into something your mouth can actually say. Use this practice again if you want the sentences to feel more automatic. And if you want to practice real conversations step by step, try Saloo English. The link is in the description. Thank you for practicing with me today on Cindy Podcast channel. Keep listening, keep repeating, and keep training your calm English voice. I will see you in the next Cindy practice. Now we will continue with an extended practice for sounding more natural with advanced phrases. This next part is longer and more conversational. Listen to each sentence first, then repeat it with a natural rhythm. Do not rush the repetition. Let the meaning stay clear. Practice sentence 1. Looking back, I would have handled it differently. Practice sentence 2. That is not necessarily the best way to approach it. Practice sentence 3. What I am trying to say is slightly different. Now say it once more, as if you were speaking to a real person. Practice sentence 4. It turned out to be more complicated than expected. Practice sentence 5. I had not considered that possibility before. Practice sentence 6. There is a good chance that things will improve. Practice sentence 7. I would not go as far as to say that. Practice sentence 8. The main issue is not the result but the process. Practice sentence 9. It is worth keeping that in mind. Practice sentence 10. I can see why people come to that conclusion. Practice sentence 11. That is a reasonable assumption, but it is not always true. Practice sentence 12. In the long run, consistency matters more than speed. Practice sentence 13. The situation calls for a careful response. Practice sentence 14. I would rather not jump to a conclusion. Practice sentence 15. It depends largely on how we define success. Practice sentence 16. There is more to the story than first appears. Practice sentence 17. I can understand the concern behind that question. Practice sentence 18. The difference may seem small, but it changes the meaning. Practice sentence 19. I would describe it as useful rather than perfect. Practice sentence 20. That approach has advantages as well as limits. Practice sentence 21. I want to put the idea into context. Practice sentence 22. The practical solution is easier than it sounds. Practice sentence 23. I have become more comfortable with uncertainty. Practice sentence 24. That is the point I want to emphasize. Now we will use these phrases inside short real-life thoughts. Listen first, then repeat the complete thought. Natural situation 1. When I discuss a complicated idea, I state the main point before adding the qualification. Natural situation 2. When I disagree with a strong statement, I soften my answer without making it unclear. Natural situation 3. When I describe a result, I explain the process that produced it. Natural situation 4. When I talk about the future, I separate a possibility from a certainty. Natural situation 5. When I reflect on a past decision, I explain what I know now and what I knew then. Natural situation 6. When I compare two solutions, I mention both the benefits and the limits. Natural situation 7. When I answer a difficult question, I give context instead of reacting too quickly. Natural situation 8. When I finish, I restate the idea in plain English so it is easy to remember. Take a quiet breath. You do not need to remember every sentence today. Your goal is to become comfortable hearing the rhythm, repeating the words, and using one useful idea later in a real conversation. Now we will add a final fluency challenge for this topic. This final round combines listening, repetition, and natural speaking. Listen first, repeat with the same calm rhythm, then repeat once more as if you were using the sentence in real life. Fluency challenge 1. The distinction becomes clearer when we look at the purpose. Now use it with a relaxed voice. Fluency challenge 2. I would approach the situation with a little more patience. Fluency challenge 3. That conclusion is understandable, but it leaves out one factor. Fluency challenge 4. I am trying to balance efficiency with quality. Fluency challenge 5. The outcome depends on how consistently we apply the idea. Fluency challenge 6. It would be helpful to consider the long-term effect. Fluency challenge 7. I do not want to present a possibility as a fact. Fluency challenge 8. The strongest argument is the one connected to real experience. Fluency challenge 9. I can acknowledge the limitation without rejecting the whole approach. Fluency challenge 10. A small adjustment may produce a significant improvement. Fluency challenge 11. The question is more nuanced than it first appears. Fluency challenge 12. I can express a complex thought in clear, everyday English. Excellent. The goal is not to memorize every sentence. The goal is to make useful English familiar enough that it is available when you need it. Take one last breath, choose the phrases that fit your life, and carry them into a real conversation. Now continue with a fresh practice section about natural advanced English in context. Listen to each line once, pause after it and say it aloud in your own voice. The sentence will not be repeated by the recording, so your attention stays active. Practice line 1. The situation is more complicated than it first appears. Notice the meaning before you speak. Practice line 2. I would be careful about drawing a conclusion too early. Keep the sentence connected and relaxed. Practice line 3. That explanation makes sense, but it does not cover everything. Let the final words land clearly. Practice line 4. I want to consider the long-term effect of this decision. Use a comfortable rhythm, not a rushed one. Practice line 5. The practical solution may be simpler than the theoretical one. Imagine a real person hearing you. Practice line 6. I can understand the assumption, although I do not share it. Take a small breath and keep the idea complete. Practice line 7. There is a difference between being direct and being careless. Practice line 8. I would describe the result as useful rather than perfect. Practice line 9. The outcome depends on how consistently we follow the plan. Pause here and remember one situation from your own life where this sentence could be useful. Practice line 10. I had to reconsider my original reaction. Practice line 11. The strongest evidence comes from what happened in practice. Practice line 12. I do not want to confuse possibility with probability. Practice line 13. The main issue is the way the information was presented. Practice line 14. I can acknowledge a limitation without rejecting the entire idea. Practice line 15. That approach has advantages, but it also creates new problems. Practice line 16. I am becoming more comfortable with uncertainty. Practice line 17. It is worth looking at the question from a wider perspective. Practice line 18. I would not describe the decision as easy or obvious. Practice line 19. The difference is small, but it changes the meaning. Practice line 20. I can explain the nuance in everyday language. Practice line 21. The point is relevant even if the example is unusual. Practice line 22. I would prefer a solution that people can actually maintain. Practice line 23. I can revise my opinion without feeling that I have failed. Practice line 24. The answer depends largely on what we are trying to achieve. Practice line 25. I want to put this idea into a realistic context. Practice line 26. The first impression was understandable but incomplete. Practice line 27. I can distinguish between a strong feeling and a strong argument. Practice line 28. The most effective response is often the least dramatic one. Practice line 29. I have learned to ask what information is still missing. Practice line 30. I can make a complex thought sound simple and natural. Practice line 31. I would rather explain the reason than state a final judgment. Practice line 32. The useful lesson is not always the obvious one. Practice line 33. I can disagree with the conclusion and respect the reasoning. Practice line 34. I am careful with words because small differences can matter. Practice line 35. I can sound mature without using unnecessarily difficult vocabulary. Practice line 36. Natural advanced English is clear thinking expressed calmly. Final reflection for this episode. You have heard a complete set of useful sentences without copying a mechanical dialogue. Choose the lines that fit your life, say them again after the audio ends, and use one of them in a real conversation today.